Hoi hoi folks, good morning, good afternoon and good evening wherever you are in the world. My name's Sean, aka Uncle Frogface, and welcome to today's video. If you're new here, then welcome. If you're not new, then welcome back. Today we are diving back into the August Scrawler box. So if you remember, we got some markers in this one, and I believe, I'll just double check, but the prompt was point of view. So have an idea of what I might like to do, but only kind of a vague idea. So it's going to be an interesting one, bear with me. What we should do is turn the camera around and remind ourselves exactly what's in the box, and then we can get on with today's artwork. Okay, here we are. Let's have a quick look inside and remind ourselves what we got in this pack. So we have these Faber-Castell Sketch Dual markers, and these are the architecture set, which is lots of greys, a pale green and a pale blue. I'll show you the swatches in just a second. And also this Edding 1880 fine liner in 0.1, so very, very fine tip indeed. We also have, of course, our sticker, and we have our print, ScrawlrZine, and some marker paper. So these are the colours that we have in this set, which I can understand why these are marketed as or named the architecture set, because for me they really do give kind of an architect sense of shade and light. Should probably say my granddad was an architectural artist, so he used to draw blueprints and plans and things. Andrew's grandparents also worked in technical drawing for engineering and all sorts. So this is kind of, I'm comfortable with architecture in terms of doing plans and stuff. In fact, my day job is an estate agent, so I draw floor plans very often. This is going to be slightly different though, because I am inspired by this to do something architecture related. However, we've got the prompt of point of view. So I really want to blend the challenge prompt, the piece of artwork that we've got, and the fact that I think these markers play very well to light and shade. So I'm going to play around a little bit today with perspective. We're going to do a 1 point perspective picture, I think, of a view in an architectural sense, but with a focus on shadows. Yeah, that's what I've got in my head anyway. I have been collecting reference pictures on Pinterest for years, so I have folders full of, well, different things. I've got animals, I've got portraits, I've got poses, I've got buildings, doors, windows, all that kind of stuff. So, and actually I'll talk a little bit about inspiration and preparing for painting and stuff in the future at some point, because it is a really important thing to be able to do and to have that reference material there, both physically and in your head. But I think what I'm going to do now is just put all of this aside for the moment, grab a pencil. So I've got my Scrawlrbox Black Wing here. Hopefully this will be all right on the paper. Yeah, absolutely fine. This is marker paper, so it's not bleeding through at all, which is really nice. So I think I'm going to sketch out a design with this first, and then I can come back, talk you through the design, and then we can go through probably doing some initial inking, then colouring, then maybe some more inking at the end. So okay, I'll be back in just a moment with hopefully a sketch to work from. Okay, so here we are. So this is kind of what I was talking about. We've got a view out of this kind of open balcony space, and we're using 1 point perspective. So this is my vanishing point here. Everything is radiating from that. So I have used a ruler for this just to try and get nice straight lines, which when it comes to the pen work, I absolutely will not be doing. One thing I will say, and this is a point of consideration, I get fairly sweaty hands. I know lots of people who are artists who also have the same issue. Marker paper, whilst it's great for markers, not so good if you get moisture on it. So the moisture from my hands is kind of making the paper buckle a little bit, which is unfortunate, but you know, it's fine. We will work with it. It is what it is. What I need to do now, now I've got kind of my basic sketch laid out. So we've got this view, we've got kind of our horizon line here as well. We've got a doorway here, a little window here, curved roof. There's a lot going on here. I'm going to go in and start defining some of this out with the fine liner. And then I'm going to decide where my light source is. So I don't want the light source to be in the same place as the vanishing point, because then everything's just going to look very flat. So what I'll probably do is bring it up and over to around here, and then I can draw my shadow lines from there and start marking out what I'm going to do with the markers. But first things first, let's get some ink work done. So this is a 0.1, yeah, it's a tiny nib on here. So let's start getting some stuff inked in. Okay, so I've got everything inked in that I want inked in. Now we have to think about our light source and where our shadows are coming from. So again, this is 1 point perspective, except from a different point to our vanishing point. So we've got, I'm going to put my sun probably about here. So I'm going to make that point there my sun. And then essentially from here, I need to go through and mark out where all of the... There we go. So like if I follow this line down here, that's going to be in shadow because of this wall obscuring the light. Same down here, and I'm actually going to have to do it for all of these little pillars. Like this, and this is going to give me the basis of where all of my shadows are coming from. So give me just a second and mark all of these out, and we're basically going to build from the lightest to the darkest grey in our set. Okay, so I've very roughly done that. You can see we've got these pillars here, we've got this section here which is the top of the balustrade, but pretty much now I'm taking the lightest grey. I'm pretty much going to colour everything that is either interior or one of these shadow sections in the light grey. So this is going to be a lot of colouring in. I've just realised this doesn't post on the end of that. That's a shame. But the good thing with these is we have got both tips. Oh, it posts that way. That's nice. So I can get all the kind of fine details really nicely, and then can do a lot of the big brush work with the brush tip. Okay, so I've just done a first pass, and actually I don't think the contrast is going to be enough. So in fact, what I've done here, I'm going to do with the next saturated grey, but on top of everything being painted in this. So everything inside that is obviously not outside is going to be with this. And then I'm going to go over and do exactly what I've just done here, but with this one. So give me a second and I'll show you what I mean. There we go. I think there's much more contrast now between outside and inside, but we need to build this up even more. So on to the next darkest colour, and we're going to start thinking about where the light really is not getting. So definitely inside here, but not the bottom bit, just on the inside. We've got all of this section over here, so I'm going to do the whole of this door, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go around and pick out all of the next darkest sections and start colouring those. Yeah, there we go. Lovely, so I'm going to build up the next layer and then I'll come back and we'll nearly be finished, although we have got the blue and the green as well, and I've got a couple of ideas for that. Aha, okay, it's starting to come together and we only have one shade of grey left, but this is the absolute darkest one, so going to be very sparing with this one, just to pick out a few of the deepest, darkest shadows. See, I'm doing a bit of stippling and kind of blending in here as well. So yeah, let's get this darkest grey down and then we can think about how we're going to incorporate the blue and the green. But yeah, this is going all right. Okay, here we are. This is the last little bits. So we've still got the green and the blue. So the green's nice and easy because I want to give a little bit of colour to this door. It's not going to be a massive amount, but we'll just separate it out a little bit. And I think I'm going to put some foliage just outside the window and do that in a very, very subtle way. So I've got a little bit of green there now. I think just down here, just going to put some dots. There we are. There we go. And then with the, actually I'm going to take the lightest grey and just pop in the horizon here as well, just to separate that out a little bit. There we are. This is all very loose, very rough. There we go. And now I feel like we need some skies. So this is where our sun is, around here. So I'm going to block this out. So I've got this outer section which I can do mostly in strips of blue, and then as we get closer to the sun, where the sun is, I'm going to leave that quite white. We can be more streaky, leave more of the sky there, maybe do a bit of stippling. Can disguise that circle I made with a bit of stippling here. There we are. Some strokes in here as well. I'm just going to build up this sky a little bit, try and blend it a little bit better. These have been a little bit streaky, but I honestly haven't been great at blending these. Like a colours blender might have been useful for this. But I think trying to define this edge here, really make this pop there. I think that's about done. So these supplies, yeah, they're interesting. I do like the brush, but I think they're a little bit streaky, and that could be the paper they're being used on. Hopefully I've managed to put together what I set out to do at the beginning. It's looking all right. This is definitely an interesting study sketch, particularly when you're talking about, if I can just remove that, there we go, about vanishing points and all that kind of stuff. So just an interesting little study, at least. The fine liner is actually very nice. It holds up very well against the alcohol markers as well. Yeah, I think that the greys themselves, they're warm greys, which is fine. I like using the greys. The green and the blue, they're alright. Not strictly necessary for this set, I don't think, but they add a little bit of colour, a little pop in there at least. But yeah, be really interested to know what you guys think in the comments down below, so leave a comment down there. Really hope you've enjoyed today's video, and as always, until next time, goodbye.